And then I remember our first exams. My composition was so bad. The teacher read it out loud in class, putting all my spelling mistakes on the board. And I remember my classmates really laughing at me. And it was very embarrassing. I was humiliated. I was ashamed, everything. And then it was even a mixed school. So you can imagine the shame you carried after that.
The grey hairs of age, a crown that demystifies time and age. She is Kendi Kamanja, beauty with brains, but her intellectual strength was rather delayed because of a pattern of behavior that in the eyes of her teachers was called lazy and slow.
My struggles in school, I started remembering them from class 4. Because then I remember it's when the multiple choice questions were introduced.
She would study with her textbook and replicate everything on this textbook onto a piece of paper. Write it down again. So it took a lot of her time.
How did dyslexia manifest in her studies as she went through her education in primary and secondary levels?
If you give me a word that I've never seen before, actually I'll not be very sure of how to pronounce it. The names that I've come across many times and I've heard them being pronounced, so those ones I wouldn't have a problem maybe reading them and pronouncing. But you give me something they call nonsense words. It's a word you make up just to test my awareness of phonics or how I sound them, then that one loses me.
In what is defined as secondary symptoms of dyslexia, Kendi Kamanja, out of frustration and embarrassment, showed defiant and later withdrawal behavior as a way of coping with her struggles in learning.
I ran away from school, so when I got to my mom and I saw her face, I knew I had to come up with a reason why I'm away from school. I had to tell her I have had a toothache, which I told my teachers, and they didn't take any action. So when I got home and told her that, she took me to hospital very fast to have the tooth checked. But then the only solution that was available then was to pull out the tooth, and there was no even numbing the tooth. It was just didn't move like that.
I just have to laugh at this. Her handwriting was horrible. It was the worst. I could not copy notes from Kendi. Obviously, she was covering up for some form of something happening at that time, which we didn't know.
But how does a learner, described by her teachers as slow and dumb, perform well in hardcore sciences but derail in literature and later graduate from University of Nairobi with a degree in finance?
So I repeated Form 2. But then I realized I had 2 major issues. I was not able to process the information as fast as the teacher was talking. So the teacher would lose me like in the first 5 minutes of the lesson, and I was never found after that. I also had working memory issues, like when you talk, like when I'm reading like a paragraph, by the time I get to the bottom of it, I've already forgotten where I'd started, so I had to read over and over again for me to understand something.
So I know that Kendi didn't like reading fiction novels. She liked reading all these, is it real life novels, you know, things like how to, what are they called? Poor Dad, Rich Dad. Those are some things she could read, which I couldn't relate to. And she also had, she still does, she also has a short attention span to TV. I happen to like TV, and I watch movies and things like that. She's not into that.
The Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders definition of dyslexia in children: can't read at an expected age or intelligence, difficulty with comprehension or speed of reading silently, difficulty connecting sounds and the words formed by those sounds, whereas in adults, fluency may become a problem with maturity. They may read slowly, confuse, or mispronounce proper names and unfamiliar words. They may avoid reading aloud to avoid embarrassment. They spell imaginatively, choosing easy words to spell. they may not find pleasure in reading or learning a new language. The revelation of dyslexia has redefined Kendi's life and passions, from her efforts to create awareness about dyslexia to her influence on her friend and husband who offer her social support to her life cause. A diagnosis of dyslexia is only given to people with an IQ above average. Dyslexics are not stupid or dumb, they just learn differently. And with no tangible research or education on the most common learning disorder, it's time the Kenyan education system was reevaluated from an inclusive angle. Christine Kamau, KUTV.